difficult one, considering that they're going up against a European opponent on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but it is a map where Mindfreak feels comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the silver lining here. It's very much, this is Mindfreak going, we're going to stick to what we feel most comfortable on. It's not going to be catering to our opponent in any way, shape, or form, and hoping that that kind of works out the best. That in mind, when we're talking about the one-off games, this doesn't feel like it's a map that typically caters to heavy amount of cheese. There's not very many laning variations to like be that, oh, let's catch them off guard. So I feel like this is Mindfreak probably going to be willing to go, kind of toe-to-toe, not really pull out that pocket strategy.
Also, we have to say that when we look at Tomb, it's actually a pretty smart pick. It's one of Fnatic weaker maps. I mean, they're not horrible there by any means, but when you compare it to others, it's definitely not their best. And Infernal is also a map that they feel so comfortable on that within Europe, they have a 10-3 track record there, and they picked it 11 times. So it's really that go-to map. So I think that's a bit of a silver lining for Mindfreak now, that they play against Fnatic on a map that they usually don't really pick that heavily. So if they have a bit of a comfort zone there, that might be leaning towards a completely different dynamic in the game.
Well, as we get the draft started, question for either of you guys then, why this is a map that for a long time has been a European prowess, where they are always the region that plays this map the best. Why is it that Fnatic hasn't been able to find that kind of success here then?
Because everyone in EU got insanely good at this battleground.
So they're still good, they're just like in the bottom of the good people, okay.
It's like when you're the second seed in Korea, it's a pretty good title to have.
As Tempest proves.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're like, I'm pretty good at Tomb of the Spider Queen, and then you say, well, what region you're from? You say EU, and you're like, well, you're probably one of the best in the world. You're probably pretty good.
I don't know, I'm looking at Mindfreak, and you mentioned that we had Genji going full Honey Badger. I want to see Mindfreak go full drop bear, man. Show us A and Z, right? Give me some Diva. Give me some Kel'Thas.
Oh, we're back on the Diva.
Made us love them the first time. And I loved that Diva when it came out. I've been waiting again to see more here from Fat94.
I really wait for some pocket strategies to come out.
Yeah.
I think the best... It's really weird because when you come from a minor region, an ideal scenario would always try to get as much practice so that you are able to compete with the best teams in the world in a normal macro game on eye level. But if you accept at some point that mechanically you are just weaker, then one advantage that you can get is if you throw out a wonky draft that has a bit of a crazy win condition where you can say, okay, if we execute this well, there's a chance that we take the game. So if you cheese a little bit. The question just remains, are they going to save those things against teams that they perceive to be direct competitors? As we heard from Skimmy, that's going to be the Chinese team, and that's going to be Tempo Storm, where they feel, okay, if we take those two down, then we can make it out of the group stage. So I feel from their perspective, there has to be a lot of strategic thinking to go into the entire group stage now.
Fnatic picking up Maiev, who of course can set you up nicely for an engagement, but in general not a traditional Fnatic pick from what I've seen. Only one pick of Maiev in all of Part 2.
Mene showed off a lot at the last Western Clash.
Sure. Yeah.
He actually does appreciate her. The problem is that Maiev is banned out so much in EU that we don't get to see her as often. If we do get it from anyone, you are correct, it's mostly around Dignitas and such. But getting the Maiev does show that Fnatic is intending to force those fights, which is what Maiev does well. She opens up the fight, you have a tank follow up, and then if you have some kind of burst, you usually destroy someone and take them out quickly. Mindfreak on the other side, though, are going for a more traditional pickup that you see on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Going for Johanna, gives that wave clear, but the pairing is what makes it more traditional. Chromie coming in here, bringing in the burst and being able to help open up the map and, of course, build those stacks.
It already worries me a little bit. Fnatic played Muradin in the first game. Now, we are still very, very early in the draft, but you have a Maiev already playing, and we, for example, see Muradin now being played as well. What we've seen in Europe, especially on this map a lot, there we go, Muradin chosen, is Muradin's just shutting down Chromies completely. You see the animation coming in, you immediately start the engage, you get the stun in, and then there comes the follow-up. And with a follow-up through Malafira root and also the tether on Maev's side, I think Chromie is going to have an absolute horrible game here, because I've seen that setup for Fnatic before against Chromie, and they just obliterated her.
There is a saving grace. It is 2 minutes Spider Queen, so you do have some protection in the early game. But if there gets a turn in and starts to really go towards Fnatic, I could see what you said really becoming a thorn for them.
The one thing I find really interesting is that Mindfreak's comfortable to transition into a JoJo Chromie when that is, again, a very European playstyle. I feel like the Chromie deterrent with the mid lane soak of a Johanna, it was originally more Dragonshire-esque, but this playstyle is something that Fnatic deals with quite often. I feel like Method is the one that brings it out the most frequently. So it's not that, I'm not saying that Mindfreak can't make that happen, but it's again one of those, when you bring a European strat to Europe and they beat it, you know, they deal with it quite frequently, you have to be amazing with it. You can't just be good with that composition. So I feel like a lot already on the pressure there with that one too. And that's not even considering the team fight problems that might come later on, again with that Muradin.
Junkrat ban comes in to make sure that Yoink and Boink does not become a thing here for Fnatic.
That's never going to become a thing. We
Clever
already
ban
talked
from
about
them.
this.
Love that they don't have that heroic synergy coming in there. Giggley, did you know what that synergy was?
I could, based on context clues,
Yeah.
but
Keep in mind, I
gotta
bring
say
you
I'm
popcorn.
not
Warden's
a huge
Cage in a
fan.
rip and
That's my
tire.
girl. That's my girl.
It's pretty darn awesome. The Yoink and Boink. Deadly, but not being played today. Sorry, nobody at home will be able to see the Yoink and Boink.
Thank God.
If you say it enough, it becomes true.
It's not a thing.
It's a
No matter how often you say it, it's not going to become a thing.
Red, it's a thing.
I think it's a thing.
It's
the minute you said it, I was snapped.
He was like,
behind
oh
it.
yeah, I love
I'm
it.
No,
in.
we talked about this. This is not going to become a thing.
I don't know, man. It's pretty dappy. You'll have to try it in your own games. All right, so final ban coming in here from Fnatic. What are you thinking? What do you want to take away from them?
I think
No, what are you
Deckard would be a really good. Oh my God, look at that. They
That is
actually do it.
insane. Wow, you just know so much about this game, Caldor.
Thank you.
Gold star.
I wonder.
You know,
I-
back when I was in elementary school, after Gold Star, you got like cat pictures.
Oh, really?
Red?
Yep, that was pretty good.
We haven't seen any involvement from Deckard so far, really. So why in this type of circumstance, right? This is one of those cases that it seems curious to be able to see that ban. And I'm not saying objectively it's not worth it, but what are the elements necessary for that to see this ban? And it already shows the value in some of the thought process on the side of Fnatic. Very slow-oriented kind of delay, poking that they were giving that kind of fear towards that. And so looking towards the future when we see those kind of drafts, typically when you see one team do it, you can expect the whole region has a similar-esque mentality.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a misplay, but I can't help but feel like that was a lot of information given that I didn't necessarily need to give.
I think it also has really good synergy with Johanna just in general. It helps because of the slows and the lockdown
Yeah.
to the big area.
Zone control,
The zone
yeah.
control is just fantastic there, but it is interesting to see that be banned there. Now though, another Lunara, this time for Mindfreak, and Blaze trying to help keep that Chromie alive a bit better.
Leave them with support for their final pickup. The wave clear looks pretty decent here for Mindfreak.
Yeah. Mhm.
Honestly, Chromie should
Yep.
have a pretty decent time setting up some traps, also controlling the turn-in point, which is something that you want to try and do against European teams. That we have perfected the 2 turn-ins and win the game strategy.
Damage side interests me very much for Fnatic right now because I want to see how. I mean, traditionally, Mena would play on Maiev, and then the question is, if you are having Quacknix, we talked about targeting Quacknix maybe with the bans, and that's exactly what happened here. You ban out Genji, you ban out Junkrat, which he usually reverts to on this map in particular.
Take Lunara, which he plays.
Yeah, Lunara also taken away. So with Mena now on Maiev, at least we assume that, Quacknix has to be the one who deals the majority of the damage, and what do you get then? Are we going to take a Hanzo here, for example, and try and play around that? Is that going to be the follow-up?
Greymane, Cassia are the two that I may
Greymane.
think about.
Yeah, Greymane is actually a really good point. I mean, that's his go-to normally. That would work.
I would look at that and see a Jaina, but not even that.
Wow.
So I guess that says that Quack is going to be on Maiev. And I mean, Quack has played Li Ming as well, so that's actually interesting to see who takes what. But it should be actually Quacknix on Li Ming here. I don't think they are going to move Mina away from Maiev.
Dread support god. What support are we getting?
Ooh, with a Deckard banned out, the mouth. Actually, that probably does make the most sense with Lunar. Good call on that one. As I didn't say it aloud.
But you thought it.
No, I didn't. It's just I was immediately going like, well, Stukov not going to be able to trade him into this. What's left? And Ariel apparently is a thing at this tournament. She's slowly gotten the hype train behind it. With Lunara getting the rework, she's one of the best batteries for it. Gul'dan has not been any less relevant than he always was. So I guess there is some argument for her spike. But I will say I'm still sitting at the heavily hesitant on all Ariels. In almost every case, I go, I'd take an Uther, but it's going to be really demanding.
No, let's keep in mind that they have plays as well. So if they play bunker, which we can assume, then at least they have another layer of defense where they can help a little bit around it. So that adds, but yeah, Auriel coming back is actually really interesting since she was basically just a double support setup. Having an extra shield available with the Tacita was usually her stake.
All right, well, we've seen both the drafts. We know what's coming. Trixler, who takes this game?
I'm actually going to go with Mindfreak. I like their wave clear. I like Chromie on this battleground. After seeing what happened in game number 1, I feel like I should be going for Fnatic, but I'm going to go ahead and just be a little bit different here. Pick up Mindfreak.
I let this one slide because it's Australia, but yeah, I'll go for Fnatic.
Short and sweet. Dreadnought.
I feel like I'm going to have to fall on the side of Fnatic as well. Though I do agree with a lot of the points that you had, Trick. One of my biggest concerns is going to be the Iron Skin use on Johanna. I feel like it's not going to be up as often as we see in Europe. Again, that kind of trade-off. And then suddenly the Chromie clear is not going to be there, and things get out of hand.
For me, it's personally just execution.
Yeah.
I think that Fnatic's
too.
execution is just so much
Yeah.
stronger than what we've seen from Mindfreak that
Okay.
I feel the draft doesn't have the impact that Mindfreak needs.
I echo that, which is why I will also say Fnatic. So that is all of our predictions, but we also want to check in with your predictions at home here in a sec. And there they are, still 80-20 Fnatic fans, and you were rewarded last game, so you know what you're talking about. And poor Skimmy at the casting desk,
Poor guy.
just waiting to hear we've all been against him. He got the one vote.
He was the first guy to get in there and be like, that was 17-0 Fnatic. Like, he was ready. So, you know, if anything, like, I'm proud of you, Skimmy. You were proud of the struggles.
Skimmy, you hanging in there?
You know, I can't be biased, right? You know, ANZ or not, I have to call an orange, right? So it is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, they've got, I think, the plays to make it happen. We see Ariel come back. We know Lunara's been reworked, maybe.
And this is a map that actually Mindfreak love to play. So if there was ever a chance, Jay, bless RNG.
Well, take it away for us, guys. Have fun.
Well, we're going to see if they can turn it around. Obviously, Fnatic, they've been a top-tier team. Obviously struggled a little bit during the league stage, but when they do get on international stages, they've been at the top quite a bit. So obviously coming out here, Mindfreak does have their hands full.
They will indeed, but with some pocket picks from them, namely the Chromie, a hero which back home, you get a bit of a bad rep if you're known for playing that one. But we're going to jump into it. Fnatic, 1-0 in the series so far, with Bad Benny playing the Frau. Breeze on Murin once again. Maina on Maiev. Smexy on Malfurion. And Quacknix rounds things out as Liming.
You know, this is now 2 games in a row I've introduced the ANZ team. We're going to have to work on that next time because it's going to be Penta on Johanna here. We're going to see how well that Iron Skin does do, as Dread was alluding to. Chromie being played by Fat94, John on Lunara, Ryu on Blaze, I think I'm getting there,
Nice.
and Vanilla on Ariel. It's such a clean-sounding name.
It really is. But, you know, I've got to ride this bandwagon. I'm pretty sure last time I cast an ANZ game, I got told I was way too biased and I was just doing my job. So maybe now I'm going too far to the other way.
Yeah, just go full bias here. They need everything they can get, but right now, you know, Quacknix on Liming, not exactly the most common thing, but Mene on Maiev.
That's a big Umbral buying into a double root. Looking for that first blood, and yes, they will find it. 30 seconds into the game, and Fat94 gets popped.
Wait, I was about to make the point of Mene on Maiev has been very impactful. I got Mene on Maiev just out of my mouth there. Oh, no way. And he came in with a big double, but again, the coordination, the follow-up, having the roots down and the CC there, you know, Fnatic is functioning really well with their combos, which, yes, you're going against the team that you're probably expected to win, but the rest of the group right now has to be looking at this like, wait a minute, like, they're actually executing incredibly well.
So many threats for that Chromie to try and dodge, and there's just not enough time in the world. With the team on the rotation a little bit late as well, that is 2 kills already onto the Chromie at that 1 minute mark. A very tough burden to start off with, but Fnatic will be abusing this all day long. Bread and butter strategy, and they rinse and repeat again. This time, Lunara, John will not run away.
Every time Mene
It's disgusting.
goes in, he's not just hitting one, he's hitting multiple people with those tethers. Like, this is extreme. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing against or what team you are. That is extremely impressive, the level of coordination right now that Fnatic has split. We are 4 kills to 0 just 2 minutes into the game.
It almost feels like each time they've gone for a rotation, they have found a kill without fail.
Yeah. And it's all Mene. It's incredible, the start that he has here in this game.
The Mene show here. He is the man with the plan. Setting things up here for Fnatic with back-to-back CC-heavy comps. We talk about execution, and they are executing.
So far, so good. They have themselves a full level lead. Albeit, the one thing that you can say is that Mindfreak hasn't necessarily lost out a lot on the gems. You look at the account, 39 total between what's turned in and what they have in the pockets of Fnatic.
Yep.
34 on the other side and counting for Mindfreak, so not all hope is lost if they can get one of the early objective turn-ins. Maybe turn this game around a little bit.
That will be a big saving grace, absolutely. And you'd imagine, given the position they are in right now, unless anything were to change dramatically, that they are going to be looking to try and pull those gems for back-to-back hand-ins to try and get themselves back into this one. Whereas Fnatic, in that driving seat will be looking to try and acquire as many as they can and look for that hand and around the 7-minute mark to get that big power spike and snowball a level 10 lead.
And one thing that cannot be ignored either is the fact that, one, you have Johanna, which has decent wave clear, even going into the extra damage with the shield glare, though, getting some damage on that. But Lunara, we talked about it before. Nature's Culling at level 4. Mene dodging the skill shot there by Fat94, but Nature's Culling still sitting at 150% damage done to the potential minions and objective coming in. So they do have tools to help deal with that, and they also got a little bit of a problem here.
Here comes the CC chain, but John once again galloping away to safety. This is the first time they have not been burst by the CC train. The Wrecking Crew that Fnatic have, Breeze, actually biting off a lot of counter engagement damage. Fnatic still in that driving seat. As you mentioned, the full level lead that they have. Level 7 is on the horizon. That talent here is what you're looking to try and achieve as Mene. Once again, going in, looking for the aggression, looking for the fight. But every single time he has that Vault of the Wardens, and he will not be taken down for free.
See if Fat94 can get the follow-up here. Breeze taking quite a bit of damage, starting to get peppered down there by John on that Lunar, unable to do so. Level 7 has been picked up in the meantime. So Ancestral Wrath picked up by Thrall, trying to get a little bit more burst damage as well as a bit more survivability. Penta just wants to get a turn in. He is holding on to quite a bit, but Breeze just missed out on that Stormbolt. The roots go down, not enough follow, but Mene being aggressive here without much help.
And he is. Benny in the bot lane, as you saw on that little preview screen. Also getting a hand in. 1 gem away, and it looks as if Breeze is going to get that as he actually interrupts it. Deciding otherwise, feeling that the kill was far more important, opening up the map. Looking to try and get a far stronger siege as a result of the man-down situation.
Yeah, Penta actually went down on Johanna to try and get the turn in the bottom. Saw Quacknix rotate over, got the interrupt there, and right now, Mindfreak is trying to do their best to interrupt because they'd like to offload some of this and try and even this up just a little bit, but they've been unable to do so. Level 7, however, was picked up here by Lunara. So many different Lunara talents right now. We'll get back to that here in a second because we've got Web Weavers now spawning. It's up to Mindfreak to try and push these lanes out to deal with it.
They will indeed. Web Weavers now descending onto the map. And the question is, how much can Fnatic find with this one? If they can find some kills like they did, especially in that explosive start, then they will be looking to hit that level 10 mark and run away with this game again. Previous game was said and done in 11 minutes flat. The difference between EU and ANZ very prevalent. But Penta, you'd have to imagine that he right now has a big burden on his shoulders. 42 gems, that is their comeback condition.
Right, he's stepping out there. Again, Lunara going into that damage. It applies extra damage on your Noxious Blossom to heroes only. I'm a bit surprised we're not seeing Splintered Spear, especially to add to the wave clear and the teamfight potential. There's going to be another huge tether there, and that Chromie gets instantly deleted. Does throw out a skill shot as she dies, but this is getting worse by the moment.
And even in the solo lane as well, Bad Benny is causing chaos across the map. So there we have level 10 has been unlocked. And that is going to be the massive power spike that we were discussing. Web Weaver's just about to expire, but the map has been completely opened up, especially in that top lane, where a win condition is usually very relevant, especially with the boss in a hand in, to get what I would imagine to be the super push.
That super push comes, if you look at the minimap, Thrall right now focusing on that siege camp. You also see they're just a few gems away from having another turn-in. So they get that siege camp, get another turn-in, get 2 more waves is all it takes at this point, 3 gems per wave. You get those gems, and all of a sudden you've got the turn-in. Murden being very aggressive, trying to catch John out in rotation there on the Lunara, unable to do so, but the siege camp has been turned in. The threat of level 10. Mindfreak unable to step forward to really be aggressive. The only one that can really do that is the Johanna because of that iron skin. But this is a long walk home, and that iron skin has to be very, very carefully used.
Yeah, Penta looking to try and do something here, and that's going to be the focal point for them to start off with, but they go on towards Vanilla. They don't have the ultimates. No Aegis is going to prevent him from surviving this one. He managed to buy a bit of time, splitting away, diverting the attention off Fnatic. Quacknix is going to actually have to chase on with the Arcane Orb coming on through, just for style effect. And the question I wanted to really rise with you, Jayhow, was do they go for the prep in the bot lane, go for the boss knowing that still Mindfreak are so far behind, then the hand, and like I mentioned before, the super push. Every lane is against you. It's like what we just saw before in Infernal.
Yeah, as long as they've kept all the lanes pushed out. And they actually got the denial there. Smexy, I believe, hit him with the Moonfire. Now the body blocking here by Breeze.
Iron Skin.
The Condemn was going to be used. No
That's
Iron
massive.
Skin. That is going to be Johanna dropping 55 gems there. Penta, and nobody able to pick those up.
No.
Skimmy, there's only 9 gems on the side of Mindfreak here.
It's an absolute disaster. That was the comeback potential that they had with the hand and of their own. But that really does spell disaster on their ability to really try and regain any kind of momentum. A 3-level lead is on the horizon right now as the second set of Web Weavers for Fnatic are about to descend onto this map. And the question really is now for Mindfreak, what can they achieve? Once again, still no kills on the board. They have the Temporal Loop. I don't believe I've even seen it used once yet.
Yeah, it's been tough, I think, here for Mindfreak to find those opportunities. And John is very, very far forward in his aggression. They need to clear 1 lane minimum before they can really try and focus on taking that team fight, because there'd just be way too much pressure otherwise. You can see they get some damage onto Mene there. Thornwood Vines going out, trying to poke towards that Web Weaver. But right now, all 3 lanes are approaching the keep wall in each respective lane. Skim.
I'm getting flashbacks of Infernal Shrines where you have everything pushed up against you. Bunker has to be used here by Ryu. Fantastic utilization of that to ensure that he does survive, but the assault is coming. And it's looking for Breeze. There's a temporal loop goes on through. Can they get the kill? They can't! Avatar at the very last second does get popped, and still Fnatic keep that clean sheet.
Calculated is what Breeze is typing right now. Nobody can see it. You're just going to have to take my word for it. As right now, there's going to be keep number 1. It's going to fall in the top lane, 14-11 here for Fnatic. You know, they don't have a ton of gems, so right now I'm kind of wondering how much Fnatic might try and flex. They've been very aggressive, very deliberate with their approach against Mindfreak, and right now they're looking to do more of the same.
It's being calculated. It has not been any disrespectful plays, to say the least, of we're so far ahead of you that we can just do this, where, say, another team would punish us significantly for this. But hold the phone. 4-level leads. 8 kills to 0 as they deny away that bruiser camp and continue to push on through, continue to keep Mindfreak locked up in their base. They have already lost their top keep, and now they're looking to break down every single wall to expose every keep.
Things just getting tougher by the moment. That's actually a really sneaky knockback there. Now with this camp here, it's got to be taken care of. Mene, however, he's making the big plays.
That is, just look how many ultimates are used in that one big spot. Insecurities bouncing around as you go into those mirrors and you hear the sound from Li Ming. You hate to hear it, you hate to see it, but you love to play with it. And Mena is putting on a show that Quacknex can really start to perform with. 3 members from Mindfreak fall on down and the 4-level lead. The story continues, 11 kills to 0.
Things are going Fnatic's way right now, and there's no other way to put it. This is an outclassing at this point. You know, Mindfreak, if they can just find some way to get some semblance of control, they've dropped a couple of keeps. They don't have enough gems for turn in, because right now you would hope that they would have something, but they've staggered those deaths. They can't even sneak a backdoor in. This boss, though, might be the beginning of the end. Might just see Fnatic say, look, let's put them out of their misery. Let's run it down top lane, see if Mindfreak can maybe find a little bit more luck in another series that they'll have here, another opportunity, but it's going to be tough to hold on here.
Was what they were mentioning before this one. They said absolutely Fnatic are going to be a very tough team for us to go up against. And we may have to try and put our attention into the other 2 teams to snag a spot in that top 4. It's happened before, but in a group like this, it is a very tall order. Mindfreak coming in from the flank, it seems to be, but this is the win condition set up right here as that shield is about to be decimated, looking to try and put attention onto Bad Benny. Is he going to be the one that looks to try and erupt this clean sheet? I don't think so, because Twilight Dream is there. They're going to find one. Temporal Loop onto Benny, but is he going to fall down? He does in the end. And Fnatic starting off their campaign here at the Mid-Season Brawl with a clean 2-0.
I think Bad Benny was looking over at the team like, come on, man, why'd you have to kill me there at the end? Because you know somebody's saying something, that one death there.
His team right now going to be like, well, yeah, no, Bad Benny, he let us down. We had the cleanest of games to start off.
A lot of it was Mene's Maiev. It's one of the things that Maiev
Especially the early game.
Yeah, just the fact that it wasn't just one tether, it was multiple people tethered. And then the communication, the execution that we saw from Fnatic, every time it went down, we had the roots there. Every time it went down, we had the stun there. And Li Ming loves it when there is a stationary target to just get those blow-ups. And again, this is Fnatic just executing perfectly, and Mindfreak had a tough time dealing with it.
I don't believe they actually showed too much as well. They just played standard. They played heroes that they're very comfortable with and were able to execute on a clean scale at that. But we are set and done here with this series. We're going to pass it back to the analyst desk and hear what they had to say.
Thank you, friends. Yes, indeed. It was a 2-0 for Fnatic, and though the boink might not have been there, the yoink still worked for them. Mene, I think people will think twice now, Kaldor, about letting him have that Maiev.
Yeah, and I talked a bit about how Chromie is definitely going to struggle into that Muradin and Maiev setup, and apparently when Chromie was chosen after they picked that, Mene was just laughing and was just saying like, okay, that's not going to work well for them. And I mean, we saw 3 kills in the early game against her immediately.
Let's defer to our resident Chromie expert. Thoughts?
Okay, so I love you, Fat94, but Chromie is not a front liner. She's not a tank, and there were a couple of times where he was trying to work in that Bronze Talons and Maiev was able to get those engages. So yeah, definitely a little bit difficult there, obviously, having some hard times, and Fnatic just, to be honest, steamrolled.
All right, well, I want to get your thoughts as well on the match, but we'll do that after the interview as Haku is standing by with our victor. Oh, sorry, top 3. My bad. We're going to look at a top 3 first. What's it going to be?
Close enough.
I'm deaf, guys. We blame me.
No, it's all good. What do we got here?
Keely is making sure that production is paying attention.
Yeah. Trying to keep them in check back
Keep them
there.
honest.
This was Quack coming in here. First off, Bad Benny with a wonderful bait, going straight in, dropping down the bunker, and then Quack just buying his time. Some Guineas will go a little bit too far there, try to get the kills a little bit early, waiting for his teammates to show up. After the full engage came in, he went in there and he just cleaned up. Beautiful counter game coming in here from Quack.
Quack had a lot of really good deflects throughout that game too.
Yeah.
That was one thing specifically that I noted out of his Genji there. Here we see with, man, statistically, just the advantage that we already see out of Fnatic, getting that lockdown in with the Sundering splitting him away. As we said, it wasn't necessarily, what is that? Is that the boink or the yoink?
The boink and yoink.
That's, well, no, but that one, that half of it, that was the yoink, right?
That's just a yoink,
Okay.
yeah.
I hate all of you.
It was a great yoink.
And final play here.
I'm disappointed in that final play. I really think that the one kill that ANC got should have been a highlight. It was as the core went down, granted, but still.
Well, the Ring of Frost comes in there. Beautiful lockdown, 2-3 immediate pickups there. Great synergy from Fnatic as they continue to show that they are still a top tier team here, even with the roster changes. Not minding, coming in, putting their best foot forward. God, words are hard right now. Can I go home?
Don't worry, I've had my throws having trouble as well, so we're all collectively here with each other.
On the struggle bus together.
Yes, and with Haku is
God,
Breeze
driver.
now for an interview with the winners.
I'm here and I am ready. Thank you, Gilly. I'm here with Breeze from Fnatic. You had a very clean series versus Mindfreak. During the second draft, both teams ignored Garrosh. Why?
I'm not sure why they ignored Garrosh, but we kind of had a pre-planned draft with just Maiev, where we can just punish them like the entire game pretty much, which we did. And yeah, I think they should have went for Garrosh as well. It's really a good counter against Maiev, and like a more defensive pick against Maiev.
Talking about Maiev, you first banned Tracer and then you first pick Maiev and not Malfurion. Why?
Well, as I said, we already had the draft pre-planned, so if we have Maiev and they decide to go into Malfurion, it's a good easy target for us to kill early game. So that's kind of our plan.
Okay, so tomorrow you'll be playing versus the one from China. Are you ready to face some cheesy comps?
Well, I think we're pretty confident after today's games, so yeah, I think we're ready for their cheese.
Good. Then we'll wait for tomorrow. But for now, we're good. Analysis desk, are you ready?
I would be ready for some cheesy comps. It's always nice to have a little
Provolone.
Gouda up here.
As long as they got cold cuts. We're in Europe, boys.
Dude, Europe has the best breakfast. Oh, the
Every
cheese is so
morning.
good.
You're welcome.
Crepes, hello? That's
Yes.
the best part of a European breakfast, hands down.
Okay, we call those pancakes.
Yeah, they're pancakes.
Whatever they are.
I think that makes
They're
it even
delicious
better
in my
because
belly.
as an American coming over, then it's culturally acceptable to lose your souls to a whole entire plate of pancakes, right?
Yeah.
But the minute you
No,
say
absolutely.
that was crepes, you go, yeah, you're a little weird. So like you made it acceptable to just indulge in the, I'm gonna put it as the second
Okay.
greatest. Cold cuts plus a little bit,
From a European perspective, you go to the US and you order pancakes and then you get that and you're like, what am I doing with this? So yeah, There's definitely a bit of lost in
Eating it?
translation.
There's no recovery
with
from that.
syrup and
We're
everything,
gonna
it's
look
like-
at the schedule for the rest of today because there's just no coming back from that one.
I'm just happy being
So-
back
What
in
do I do with
Europe.
all this food I ordered?
All right, we have done now 4 best of 2s. We have seen a lot of teams, but still a couple more to come. Up next, we're going to have CE versus Method, Tempo Storm, and Ballistics, and then to close things out, Team Dignitas returns to the stage to play versus Method, who we see in the next match. And talking about CE versus Method, what are our initial thoughts? Obviously, the one had some struggles, but they were playing versus Gen G. Do we think CE maybe can put up a better performance versus Method?
Yeah, I feel like that would be the case
Okay.
there. Overall, I'm excited. I feel like it's going to be hopefully a pretty competitive match. I think if you're obviously to give a favorite side, I think it goes over to the side of Method, but there's a lot of hope there with the new blood.
There's a lot of question marks for me. I think Method has to redeem themselves for the Western Clash.
Yeah.
Where they completely fell apart, so that's their chance to show, okay, that was a mistake. That was just a bad event for us. And at the same time, I also hope that CE shows up and is extremely strong because I finally want to have a Chinese team again that shakes everything up.
Yeah, CE broke the hearts of a lot of Chinese Heroes fans at the Eastern Clash when they fell without, I believe, taking a single game at the Eastern Clash track.
Yeah, pretty unlucky there. So hopefully they can get some wins this week. Obviously, starting its Method is going to be a good mark of test to see exactly where they are as a team. As mentioned, the Western Clash for Method was a failure in their eyes, so they're looking to redeem that. But again, those roster swaps just lingering in the back of the corner, right? Arcaner is actually switching roles in his new team that he's going to. So now he's come back and play tank. How's that going to work out?
Well, checking in with the groups, get familiar with these 2 groups, these lists of teams, as you're going to be seeing them for the next 5 days of group play. But we're starting to see the points file in, but it's important to remember that should you win a match 2-0, you do get that 3rd point, which can start to help you pull ahead of the rest of the teams in your group. Top 4 teams in each group move on to the bracket stage. So those teams that are more middle of the pack, they need to be taking games where they can, whether it's with the cheese strategy or just straight up play, that'll enable them to keep people from climbing ahead.
I think it's really cool that so far it's been so lopsided as well. I think that shows a little bit to the formatting and the fact that you can't be forgiving on one game. So you don't have that, oh, well, this team ended up getting that off of this person. It's very much going, we want all those points. We don't want to just win the one. We want to be able to get the 3 there. And I think that's a lot of the kind of confidence here from these teams. That being said, it's also day 1. It's not also like, every team is equally competitive.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's also in a best of 3 format, you always have that moment when you can get away with hiding strategies. If you lose a map, it doesn't matter too much as long as you're safe on the 3rd one. Over here, you can still try hide strategies, but you take a risk once you do it. And it's a pretty big risk at that, because if you lose one map, then maybe there's an upset in another game that you can't even influence, and all of a sudden you might be afraid for your life in the group stage. So it's really cool that there's everything on the line for every single map that we play.
Well, thank you guys so much. This family reunion has been wonderful. My heart is warm and fuzzy, but it's about time to bring Caleris back to the Analysis Concave. We're going to head to a commercial break. After the break, CE versus the Method as the Mid-Season Brawl continues.